so everyone is talking about the Gen Z gaze or the Gen Z stare, where you try to interact with a member of Generation Z in a public setting, be it customer service or with a Gen Z customer, and they respond to basically every greeting or question with a blank stare. Like, they act like NPCs who have never engaged in a conversation before because they're so socially inept. And I agree with the people who are saying Gen Z needs an etiquette lesson. I think that this is at times unintentional because they're so poorly socialized. But in other examples, they're doing this intentionally just to be rude and get back at people who they consider to be oppressors,
this person
such as their
need,
bosses or clients in their jobs.
This person doesn't need a lesson because they already got the lesson. They're just ignoring it.
This article from The Independent by a Gen Z author says the Gen Z stare isn't rude. We're just not going to conform for your comfort. Our communication style was shaped by character limits, subtweets, and voice memos sent from bed. We learned to be blunt and concise because that is what the world we've grown up in demanded.
They're lying because they're like, why did you put a period at the end of that text? Why are you being so mean to me? Like, they're lying. She's either wrong or lying, or he or whoever.
Yeah, digital communication isn't the total explanation for what's going on here. I think it's definitely part of it. If you have only been accustomed to interacting with people through a screen, of course, you're not going to be able to conduct yourself in conversations face to face. But I think a lot of this is legitimately spite. And I think it's a lot of resentment and bitterness in Gen Z who feel they don't have to, conform to etiquette standards. They're protesting them actively, consciously. And I was able to surmise that. Yes, I was able to surmise that from several examples of Gen Zers on TikTok who are referencing the lingo, the Gen Z stare term. One of them said, Gen Z stare? Yeah, I said good morning with a giant smile and you barked cappuccino at me. Another one said, the Gen Z stare is so rude. You just asked me what's in a mozzarella stick. Another one who works at Walmart said, Gen Z stare, but you just asked me if you could pay for your groceries with a TJ Maxx gift card. Here's the thing. No one is denying that crazy or rude or dumb customers exist, and that's just something you're going to have to deal with in a minimum wage job. But it doesn't entitle you to meet them with either a blank stare or outright rudeness in response.
In the job market that you're currently in, your skill set is not specialized. I was talking to someone the other day about the joke about the WNBA women making the same amount as like high-end Target managers. And somebody's like, by that logic, all Target employees should make more than WNBA players. Says, no, a manager is of a higher skill set than a regular employee. As a regular employee, your job, your skill set is to literally be the person who has to deal with the stupid people.
Oh, another one
that's what you're paid to do.
I remember I worked at
I did that a lot.
Me too. Yeah. I worked at a ice cream shop, and I had really short hair, and I was 18, and people would always come in and think that I was a boy, and they'd be like, "Hello, son, could I have a chocolate ice cream?" And I'd be like,
would you correct them or just let it go?
I would usually just stare at them.
Okay.
So you did the Gen Z stare.
Yeah,
except you did the millennial stare.
Yeah, whatever it is. I would just sort of look at them until they registered.
Oh. Well, they
weren't
one time
I said, sure thing, Papa. That was funny for me.
The point is, that's your job. Like, your job is, because it's not a specialized skill set. It's literally just your ability to take stupidity from people.
I have done the thing that you're supposed to do.
I have done that for I did that for many years. I worked at a gas station. I worked at a Target. I worked at several gas stations. And that's part of your job, is that my very first job was pushing carts at like a grocery store, which also required you to interact with customers, taking their carts or helping people on the sales floor. And your job is to be polite in the face of stupidity.
Yeah, I mean, that's also something that you should just do regardless in general in the world.
Yes, you
should be a polite, civil person. Another Gen Z employee at a pizza shop gave comment in this article saying, you just asked me if we sell pizza.
You know what you do in that sense? You go, yeah. Like you laugh at how stupid it is.
Of course.
And you, not in a rude way, you just kind of giggle and you say, yes, we do.
Of course we're going to stare. What is there to say when you're being asked inane questions while earning minimum wage?
You are not allowed to decide what is inane.
You earn minimum wage because your job is inane. Yes.
Right.
Like, okay, that's
also, it's okay to have a starter job. You can't start as the CEO of a Fortune 500 company.
You're not that
important. You have
important.
to start with a job. Like the trade is you do something stupid and they pay you for it.
And this is the thing.
And then you get to do things like eat and drive around and go to dinner and rent an apartment.
At some point, I'm like, when AI takes my job here and they just put AI Brett in this job and I have to go back and work at a Target again, I will then again, I'm sure, at some point in my life have to answer inane questions again.
But they're not just talking about stupid questions or people who are rude. I know from experience approaching Gen Z employees in customer service very politely, with a smile, whatever, greeting them. They do the Gen Z stare when you're nice, too. It literally has nothing to do with the customer's behavior. They meet you with this blank stare regardless, and they're acting like it's some small form of, like, retaliatory protest against the system or older people who they perceive to be privileged over them.
Part of it, though, is the same thing with this T app, right? I mean, Gen Z is so connected online to their friends and a bunch of different group chats and whatever social media they're engaged in, that they're constantly, there's like a separation between them and the reality in which they're existing, where they can be interacting in a virtual way with people at the same time as they're interacting with you. So you can be thinking about how you're going to say to your friend how stupid this person is in 5 minutes,
right,
while you're dealing with the person.
Exactly.
And you're existing in a separate space. You're existing both in the virtual space and in the
That's
reality that you're in. And I know my favorite way to exist is to have that kind of dichotomy where you're existing in a separate reality as well as the reality you're in. But for me, it was always either the thing that I'm writing, the story that I'm writing, I'm thinking about that at the same time as I'm doing this. Or, I remember if you're reading a book that's really good, you can walk around in the world of that book while you're forced to exist in reality. And it makes it's like putting a skin over reality, where you don't entirely have to be extant where you are. But I think it's a lot different when it's a social media situation. But also, I mean, it's a refusal to exist in the time and space where you are. You're always in the other realm.
Well, they're thinking of, what they're going to say, over text or over social media about this interaction later on, as if they have some kind of audience watching them at all times.
Yes.
And they think that they're Jim Halpert in The Office when, Michael Scott says something stupid and Jim Halpert looks at the camera, breaks the fourth wall. That's what they think they're doing, as if there's a captive audience watching this interaction.
Right. I think that's a thing. A lot of people think that they are in some sort of movie. They're in some sort of constant TikTok. And the reality is that, we're not in a movie. No one is watching at all. No one cares about what you're doing or what you think. No one cares. That's the biggest, I think, misconception that people have is that, and you grow out of this eventually, but the biggest misconception that people have, I think, when they're growing up is that it matters to other people what they're doing and what they think. And it just, for the most part, doesn't. Nobody cares what you think or what you're doing. They're not watching. The only real things that matter are the personal moments that you have with people, the nice moments that you have with people that you love and care about. And there isn't really anything else of matter or merit, to absorb yourself with.
We do have a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. My self-driving car question. Data shows that a world with majority of cars self-driving would result in fewer accidents. Well, okay, like data based on what? Like a world that doesn't exist yet. Will we exchange
Data from that virtual world that I've created in a simulation?
Will we exchange that for a no one to blame world when there is a fatal accident? Yeah, that is a question that doesn't have an answer yet. I know Tesla doesn't want to take the blame for self-driving cars getting in accidents. But to what we were just talking about, I also wanted to mention that it's not just Gen Zers who are in customer service or minimum wage jobs. It's also when they're the customers, like interacting with those employees. They're not willing to be polite to people who are doing them a service. And that's shown in this one TikTok that I wanted to show.
This one?
Yeah. It's like the Gen Z customers are just as rude as the Gen Z employees. So it has nothing to do with being obligated to interact with stupid people.
There we go.
How is everyone tonight? Can I get you started with something to drink? You need a minute?
Looking at each other for
I can
reassurance.
give you a minute. Take your time.
Okay. You have one more you want to show?
Yes, and there's another one that's defending Gen Z.
Hi, welcome in. This is like the jewelry store, right? Okay, great. I got this like 3 years ago and I pulled on it a little hard and it broke. I was just wondering if I can get a new one.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We actually don't have this anymore. We always have new stuff, you know?
No, honey, I got it here.
Damn it! Hold, please.
Thank you.
Hold, please. It's part of the live show. It's what happens.
No one is mad. Why do you think everyone is mad?
They're all gonna laugh at you. They're gonna know.
No.
They're not gonna know.
They're not gonna know.
Okay, here we go.
We don't have it.
Okay, so I'll just exchange it for something else then, since it's not really my fault that it broke.
So actually our return policy is 2 weeks. And if I heard you right, you said 3 years. So like it won't work.
No, honey, I don't know what's not clicking, but I got this.
It's not
here.
clocking with
This
you.
is where I got it.
No, I got that. It's just, do you have the receipt? Maybe we can like work out a discount.
The receipt? Honey, it was 3 years ago. No, I don't have the receipt.
Prior generations would just say, I'm gonna go get a manager.
Well, yeah, and you can also just like answer the person. I think this also has to do with Gen Z's fear of confrontation as well. Like they're not able to be in a contentious interaction with anyone.
Yeah. I agree with what Libby said, which is that nobody's watching and nobody cares, and that's actually comforting, if you ask me. I don't want to live in a world where everybody cares. If anything, it probably makes them more self-conscious and more worried because they think that everybody's watching and everybody cares, but really nobody does. And that's a good thing if you ask me.
When I'm like at a drive-through and they, you know, wordlessly hand you the order, like I don't really feel offended by it. It's not like I'm, you know, hurt that they didn't say hello to me or something. But it definitely makes it stand out when someone is polite and goes out of their way to speak to you and make eye contact. It's like that's something you remember for the rest of the day.
It's like the
This is
bare
so
minimum,
exceptional.
and it's the bare minimum you can do in society is to go out every day and try to be polite to the people that you interact with momentarily.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah,
Because
I mean,
the
I
world
think it
doesn't
matters.
need more dickheads.
And you can make your own day better by having that kind of communication with people. You can make other people's day suck less, you know, by just like it being a reasonable human being.
Like, that's what I said. Like, hold the door open for somebody. They'll appreciate it for the most part.
When my grandma was much older, when she was in her like 70s, her outing would be to the grocery store. You know, she would have stuff to do. She had friends that she had been friends with since college that she still had, but like her friends were dying. And she would go to the grocery store to, you know, get her stuff, but also to like kibitz with the cashier. Yep. And if those cashiers were nice, it made her whole day better.
Yeah.
You know, if they like just talked a little bit about the peaches and plums or whatever,
Yeah.
it was a better day for my grandma. And why would you be mean to people?
They're also being less honest, which is like the poor interactions that we've had with Gen Z employees tends to be because they're on their phone.
That's another thing.
Which, you know, again, and I always just, because I worked so much retail, so many jobs like that, I will operate under the premise, maybe they're just having a bad day. Even if we know that a lot of the time that isn't true, it's better for my soul to just give them the benefit of the doubt.
Shane H. Wilder said, I got the Gen Z stare at a pizza place after Mass. The dude handed me the pizza. I smiled and said, thank you. They just stared and stormed off. They forgot part of my order. I went to ask for it. They just pointed at the counter. Weird. Like, don't treat people like dogs. And their justification for all of this is like, why should I be kind to people who aren't kind to me? If everyone thought that way, we would live in hell. We would just live in hell.
It's unbelievable narcissism and self-centeredness.
Yep.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.